Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is one of my favorite games for this year so far. It must be the best release on Nintendo Switch for the first month of 2024. The game runs really well on Nintendo Switch. 60 frames per second gameplay, which is a breath of fresh air considering Switch gamers always get stuck with 30 FPS ports. The frame rate during gameplay is stable for the most part, close to 60 without any major issues. There are, however, some minor drops into the 50s when things get intense. Cutscenes are also locked to 30 FPS, but the transitions between cutscenes and gameplay are still well done without any loading or freezing. It's all seamless. So how hard does the Nintendo Switch hardware have to work to run The Lost Crown? Is the hardware working to its limits? One way to check that is measure the battery life. Now, the closest game I can think of similar to The Lost Crown is Metroid Dread. That game had some of the best battery life, lasting over 6 hours on the Nintendo Switch OLED. Can Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown come anywhere close? Let's find out. I'll be testing on all three versions of the Switch Lite, the standard Nintendo Switch, and the Nintendo Switch OLED. All three consoles are at medium settings, so that's brightness at medium, sound at medium, and I am connected to Nintendo Online at all times. With the battery at 100%, let's get this test started. After 1 hour, there's 68% battery on the Switch Lite, 75% on the standard Switch, and 78% on the Switch OLED. Going on 2 hours now, and we got 35% battery on the Lite, 49% on the standard unit, and 55% on the OLED. At 3 hours, Switch Lite is at 2%, almost 1. Standard console is at 23%, and the Switch OLED is at 32%. Lost Crown on the Switch Lite powered off at 3 hours and 13 minutes. Lost Crown on the standard Nintendo Switch powered off at 4 hours and 7 minutes. OLED console got the 1% warning at 4 hours and 19 minutes. And Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown lasted 4 hours and 37 minutes. Here's a summary of The Lost Crown's battery life on all types of Switch consoles. I included the original launch edition console here, which should last 2.5 hours if you have a healthy battery. Here's how The Lost Crown compares to other games in terms of battery life. In fact, it has one of the worst battery lives out there. Clearly, it's pushing the Nintendo Switch to its limits and making it work hard. Now, I mentioned Metroid Dread at the start, which has way better battery life, over 6 hours on the Switch OLED. I guess this makes sense, even though both games are 60 FPS. The Lost Crown has a lot more going on in the background. There's a lot more animations. Those black backgrounds help Metroid Dread get longer battery life, especially on the Nintendo Switch OLED. If this test says anything, it's really that the Nintendo Switch really, we need to upgrade. We need a new console. Even games like The Lost Crown, which are optimized well on the Switch, run well, give us 60 FPS, they're still bad when it comes to battery life, meaning the Switch hardware is way past its time.